everybody, and welcome to the Heartbeat of Bartlett. This podcast is brought to you by the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce and is sponsored by First South Financial. The purpose of this podcast is to celebrate the amazing community of Bartlett, Tennessee, because, as we know, the community is what makes up the heartbeat of Bartlett. Today, we've got, just like every episode, today we've got an extra special episode. We are joined today by the managing editor of the Bartlett Express, Thomas Sellers, and multi-award winner, Dr. Craig Esrael from First South Financial, who was the winner of multiple Reader's Choice Awards, and you'll hear more about that in just a moment. I'm Maria McLendon, Chief Marketing Officer for First South Financial, and my co-host today is the wonderful Pierce Cannon, and I will let Pierce introduce himself, and then we'll get on to the fun stuff in the show.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pierce Cannon. I'm with the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm the Director of Membership and Community Development. My focus is on our small businesses, meeting with them, making sure that they get what they need out of the Chamber of Commerce.
Awesome. And Thomas, will you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Yes, my name is Thomas Sellers. I'm the managing editor of the Bartlett Express newspaper, your hometown newspaper since 1978. And it's a distinct honor to be here today, sitting on this panel and being next to Dr. Craig. Man, I've seen him for years, growing up in the community, a very vital part of the Bartlett community. And it's just an honor to be here and to share some news about all the honors that the First South has won.
Well, we're really, really excited that you could be here today, Thomas. Thank you for coming. And Dr. Craig, you really don't need any introduction, but would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. I'm Craig Esrael, CEO at First South Financial, and going on my 42nd year. So February of this coming year, I'll be 42 years as the CEO.
Excellent.
Is that some kind of record?
I don't know.
Has anybody lived long enough to do that?
Could there be another award for that?
I'm only 43, so I have to go back and do some research.
Too late.
Wow.
So we have a lot of different things that we want to talk about today. We'll get to the Reader's Choice Awards, which is one of the things that we want to talk about. But I want to talk first about the Bartlett Express. So the Bartlett Express is the local newspaper, you said the hometown newspaper for the Bartlett community. How long has the Bartlett Express been in existence?
1978 was the first year of operation and been going steady, strong at some points, but steady for the last few years.
Okay. Well, I think it's important that you mention that it's been going steady because it's a very unique environment that we are in, and many newspapers, particularly the local community newspapers, are seeing significant struggles, but Bartlett Express holds its own.
Well, a lot of people they're taking our business model, the community-based newspaper, focusing on good news, community events, how the kids are doing at school, who won the award, who grew the biggest pumpkin in October, things like that, things that we've been doing since the beginning. The competition, they're starting to do things like that. So they're kind of still in our style, to be honest with you. But we always been community focused, community based, and having a good partnership with the entities in our community, like the Chamber of Commerce, working with the police, the city, and great businesses like First South throughout the years has kept us afloat, and just being focused on community-driven journalism. What makes the community go? You know, you think of Side Porch when you think of Bartlett, Tennessee. I still say Andy B's, just like a lot of people do when they're going through Bartlett. You think about things like that. What makes Bartlett go? And that's what makes us go. You just put a spotlight on it.
Well, you said a couple of things that were really interesting to me. So first of all, Dr. Craig and I chatted about, just anecdotally, we've chatted about how there's like, there's a void of good news. Yes. There's so much bad news, and there's so much news. Yeah. Well, you don't even know if it's news, right? There's so much news that's out there that you can't even validate whether it's factual or not. So I think that there's a real value in having this community-based.
We still have a code of ethics that we have to adhere to. We still have to chase the truth, facts, put that information out there. And we love when the community comes to us. They come to our office at 2850 Stage Village Code. It looks like a little house. So they knock on our door. Yeah. And I can just remember like Maggie Graham, the state champion wrestler at Bartlett, won 4 years in a row. I found out about her while she was at Bon Lin. You know, we know things like that, our middle schoolers. You can come talk to us about that. So she was a football player. So I asked her, I was like, are you going to You gonna try to pursue football when you become a Panther? She said, oh no. She said, they're too big and too strong and they're crazy. She said, I'll try something else. So she found out her true calling. Now she's down in Georgia in college competing on the mat. So, and we've been there from day one. We were up in Franklin taking pictures of her making history her freshman year. And we were there to her senior year when she crossed that stage. We get to tell stories like this. So as long as we're doing our job, I think the community support us to keep us going.
I think that's 100% true. So let's talk a little bit about the Bartlett Express Reader's Choice Awards.
We that's our Super Bowl.
It's ours too, my friend.
Look, we had some years where we have a dumb, as a 49er fan, it pains me to say this. Sometimes we have a Kansas City Chief come in there to dominate a couple years in a row. And First South has done that this year with 7 awards, well-earned awards.
Well, will you list some of those awards? I can list them.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm the manager, so I have to just get the figures and stuff. Our sales team, they let me know what I need to go
so
get.
this year in the Bartlett Express Reader's Choice Awards, First South was honored to be recognized as the best business in Bartlett, the best bank in Bartlett, the best credit union in Bartlett, and the best mortgage lender in Bartlett. And then more exciting for us because we recognize him as these things every single day at First South Financial. Dr. Craig Esrael was recognized as the Reader's Choice Man of the Year, Best Banker in Bartlett, and Best Financial Professional, which, I mean, super excited. Yeah. So, Pierce, do you want to chat a little bit with Dr. C?
I do.
Awesome.
Hey, Dr. C.
Hi.
So I just want to say thank you first for everything that you do in the community, but especially for what you do for the Chamber of Commerce. So Dr. Craig is actually the chairman of our board of directors and has been for some time now. We appreciate his insight. And he's just a great supporter of what the Chamber does. And so I just want to say thank you. And then I also want to say congratulations on the awards for this year. But I was looking at your feature in our magazine, our Bartlett Insights magazine that just came out. There's a beautiful story that was done on you this year. And
a little plug for another publication that's
right.
That's in Bartlett.
That's right. And there were just some things that stood out to me that I thought were unique to your story. And so I just wanted to ask you a couple questions about that, if that was okay.
Sure, I haven't seen that story, so this should be interesting.
No fact checking will be done.
Please no.
So yeah, congratulations on the story that was done. It was very inspirational. I felt like I was reading, are you familiar with Jim Collins' book, Good to Great? Mm-hmm. You're familiar with that? It was very reminiscent of Good to Great. It's a great story there. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your upbringing, your childhood, and what kind of got you to where you are now.
Yeah, it certainly is. My career is beyond my wildest expectations. I grew up in a divorced household. My mom was the leader of our house. My dad left, and nobody in our family went to college. So I really never even aspired to go to college. I kind of figured I'd stay in our hometown like most people did. But found a spark along the way and did go off to school. And as you probably saw, kind of kept going.
You did?
Went all the way in school.
Yes.
4 degrees, is that right?
Yeah. And my grandfather, who went through the 8th grade, said, he told me one time, he said, try to get all of the schooling you can get. So, those words still ring in my ears. So yeah, that was part of it. And it was a lot of hard work. And I think it was the scholastic effort that probably taught me to work hard and sleep very little. As I said, when I came in today, I got up at 2:30 this morning and drove back to Memphis. So I'm used to not sleeping much. But that's kind of the beginning in a little town in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Called Okauchee, Wisconsin. Isn't that a name? Yeah.
So if I can jump in for
Sure.
just a quick second, I wanted you to ask these questions because I'm such a super fan of Dr. Craig's that I didn't want it to come across as too effusive. But, I've known Dr. Craig for many years. He's served as you said, the chairman of the Bartlett Area Chamber for a number of years. And when I met him years ago while working for the Chamber of Commerce, one of our conversations then is what inspired a love of learning for me. And it's just the joy that you get from uncovering new information and the aha moment that you get particularly when you're really interested in what you're studying. And so you have been an inspiration for me in my pursuit of academic growth, and just, you deserve every award you get, sir.
I don't know about that, Maria, but thank you for those kind of words.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so, I wanted to know also, like, what was your greatest motivator going through the schooling, growing up, and what would you say kept you going throughout all of that?
I think, being such a scholastic underachiever, when I started to feel success, when I started getting grades beyond D's and C's, all of a sudden it was like, I can do this. Yeah. And, I just spent ridiculous hours in the library, and, I kind of remediated myself because obviously we have to take calculus and, advanced statistics and classes like that. And for somebody that in high school, my highest level was work at your own pace geometry. Mm-hmm. So I think that was it. I think it was, learning that hard work does pay off, and you can really achieve anything if you try. Listen, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Dr. C, let me ask you this. You earn all this success. Instead of being selfish with it, you become a community leader and you give back. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to do that, and who planted that seed in you?
I think I think that just comes naturally, right? I mean, it's our community.
Not for everybody.
It doesn't come naturally to everybody.
And that's why people recognize you as multiple-time man of the year.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think it's so easy to love Bartlett and love our community, love our state, but Bartlett in particular, 11th largest city in the state, growing, great city leadership, great businesses, and just great people. And it's hard not to fall in love with Bartlett. So it's so easy to be active and to be supportive when you're around people that are the same. Because it really is a city that comes together. It's amazing.
And I think you're very correct there. I think that Bartlett has a very unique, it's a very unique community. And I think it speaks to what you were talking about earlier, Thomas. The city works together with the Chamber of Commerce, which really works strongly with the business community.
Correct.
And the business community is actively engaged. They're not passively engaged. And so that's how a community is formed. And I think that's part of the reason that it's the underlying success of the Bartlett Express, right?
Yes. We have special sections quite often. We have a big magazine that we do every year called Progress. Kind of rivals that a little bit. But it only comes out once a year.
Not rivals, friends.
Friends. Yes, correct. And we know we can count on seeing that First South ad every year. Little things like that, it seems like it's small on this scale, but when you can count on some circles that's revenue, but we call it that business friendship, where they're going to, hey, we're going to support you because we know you're going to put out a quality product. We want you to be there, so when Coach Real and the Bartlett basketball team makes it to state, you're covering it. When Coach Smith and the football team are achieving things, and we go back to Lynn Whitfield back when her Lady Panther teams were dominated with Jasmine and James. We're collecting that history for the community, and we love when Todd over at the city, the marketing over at the city, he comes in and goes to our archives once a week to pull out the blast from the past and share that with the community. And we get so many phone calls and people, I remember that. And sometimes I think 1978 doesn't seem like that long ago. But so for a lot of people, that brings back great memories. And we love being able to house that and still be the place where they can come to where the new memories are being created and down, for the future. So the Bartlett's First Place is a very important part, but we would not be here if it's not for the great community support that we have.
And I think that's part of the reason. So, you mentioned earlier that the Reader's Choice Awards is your Super Bowl. And I said, it's ours too. The reason it's so meaningful to win those Reader's Choice Awards is because it's part of this community that we're embedded in.
And, I think it's a fundamental part of the culture, not just the community, but the culture of Bartlett.
Yeah.
And it's reporting on that it's the first step in bringing it all together and supporting a strong culture.
Well, Vicki Clark, our sales manager, she puts out that edict that we got to put this online. We did it from the paper first, then we put it online, but now we embrace social media and we use avenues like that. Hundreds of votes came in and your name just popped up there. Once again, we don't have a rule where you can't win it multiple times, because if you're putting in that consistent work in the community, Dr. C, it has to be recognized. I just want somebody to come challenge it, because they got some hard shoes to fill.
I'd prefer they not.
But Bartlett would be blessed if somebody does try to rival your philanthropy.
Fair point, right? Like, how blessed would the entire community be if you were spoiled for choice with community leaders? I mean, it's the tide that rises all ships.
Yeah. Absolutely. Dr. C, I did want to just ask you another question, if I could.
Yes, sir.
So, before you came into your role as president and CEO at First South, in a 7-year period, there were 6 other CEOs that came before you.
Wow.
And to watch you come in and take the reins, I think our small business and large business owners want to hear what you attribute a lot of that success to.
Yeah, and I think, you have to go back to the time. When I graduated with my MBA, it was the 80s, and it was one of the worst economic times since the Great Depression, since the early 1930s. So, we were coming out of this terrible period, and banking was really hit hard. In fact, I guess you won't remember, but you've probably read about the S&L industry. A whole industry was decimated. A whole segment of the financial industry was totally decimated. They're gone. You don't see savings and loans anymore.
Right.
They were wiped out. And a lot of it had to do with asset liability mismatches. But it was a devastating time. And First South, did have that long period of financial distress. I think 6 quarters of losses.
Right.
And the board kept changing CEOs, trying to find some traction to make sure the institution didn't go the way of some others. And I think, when I came in, it was just really about bringing the people together. It's like we talk about in Bartlett.
Yeah.
It's all about the people and the community and the culture. There really wasn't a culture there. We had a great board. We had a great workforce, but it was fractured. And I think bringing those groups together was the first step. And then, I think back then, and I kind of laugh, quality circles, which have gone out of vogue, we started to implement. And we started having mutual accountability in the organization. And I think all of that, working together with a common goal, it pulled the team together. And I always think, even in these awards, which are wonderful and so humbling, but it's nothing but an award for our team, because, I'm the conductor, they're the artists, they're playing the instruments. I'm simply there to help them be the best that they can be. And we have a great team. And it was developing that team even back in the early 80s that really made the difference, and how we transformed from that really weak organization, as you read, to one of the strongest 1% in the entire nation.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's all about the people. And, I think that's obvious, but I don't think we can say it enough.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's forgotten.
I think that you're right. I think that it is sometimes forgotten. I'm going to circle back to Thomas's earlier point. If we were spoiled for choice of inspiring leaders that really spend all of I loved your analogy of the conductor, right? But if you invest all of your time developing and growing the people who are in your command, in your fellowship, then you're growing leaders who have the ability to take on the mantle going forward.
Yeah. And if you look around the community, you look at some of the great businesses, just in Bartlett in particular, we've got some great leaders. We have people that are there when we need them. And, even the city has new leadership now, and the chamber's always been, the focal point of bringing the business together and doing great things.
We can brag a little bit about the leadership at the chamber too. John Threadgill,
Yes.
President of the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce. I mean, he's single-minded in his mission to drive the business community of Bartlett. He wants to bring the business community together, and he is laser focused on economic development, because economic development improves the lives of every member of the community and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's some exciting things that are going on in Bartlett from an economic development level. You've got the Union Depot right off of Highway 70 that's being built, which is going to be the first mixed-use facility that Bartlett has ever had. We talked about another business that's coming, which is called Ramble on Summer, which is like Rail Garden that's coming to Bartlett, which is really exciting. There's a lot of really fun stuff that is going on in Bartlett. And so to be able to reach the community with these new things that are happening, to show people, hey, Bartlett is the place to be, and it's an exciting time to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think, too, you look at the housing development that's going on in Bartlett, and, you know, you can't not talk about St. Francis Hospital, you know, right in our own community, our own hospital, world-class hospital, right in the city of Bartlett.
Absolutely.
And I want to point this out, just, you know, living in Bartlett, the parks, the recreation,
Yeah.
the most amazing parks. This might sound silly, but how important it is to just have a clean bathroom.
Sure.
Go into a public park. When you grow up in certain places where you take that stuff for granted, knowing that stuff is going to be there, good resources, tennis courts, things like that. Yeah, Bartlett is a wonderful place. Like I said, it all works together. Everybody's on the same team going in the same direction.
So your comment about the parks and how well maintained they are and how amenity rich they are to take care of people's needs. I'm going to make a comment about Food Truck Friday, which is one of the events that the city of Bartlett has started for the Bartlett community. So there's so much attention to detail that they put a package of wet wipes on every table in the pavilion, because, you know, it's a service to the community. You wouldn't have realized that you needed it, but then you see it on the table and you're like, oh, this is a nice touch.
Well, not to mention
the food trucks.
Not to mention all the food that you're eating, you know, requires you to lick your fingers. It's so good, you know, so you have to have that extra help with the wipes.
I have been to the Food Truck Friday a couple of times as well, and I can tell you from experience, the little paper napkins are not enough when you're eating these big, delicious food truck meals.
Yeah. Well, Thomas and Dr. Craig, I do have another question for you on behalf of the chamber. So you guys have both seen businesses come and go over the years, but the question that we get asked a lot is, what are the tips that you would give to both small businesses and then also current businesses that want to expand from a Bartlett Express standpoint and then also from a First South standpoint?
Well, I'm on the editorial side of the newspaper business, so if you got something newsworthy, something that needs to be publicized, don't be afraid to just reach out. That's what the email is for. That's what a quick pop. If I see your face, I'm more likely to say yes. So come in, stop and let us know what's going on, how you're helping the community. You know, we're sponsoring this at the school. We got this event coming up that we want the community to be involved in. Just reach out to us, and then don't be afraid to walk down the hall, visit Vicky or Leanne to let them know you want to get maybe a small ad, something that might be consistent on the church page. A lot of people are faith-based in our community. So they see your ad in our church page, that it might just pop into their mind. Visibility. So hit me up for the free stuff, and then pump a little money back into us so we can get you out there on our social medias, on our website, things like that. Visibility is the key. And then have a good product. That since I live in Bartlett, I want to stop by and grab something to eat. You know, I want to frequent your business, and so I can just promote it through a column, or if I need a good source on a certain story, I know I can come to you. Just not. We know we need financial information. We can just call up anyone at First South, and they're going to be glad and able to help us, because you know it's good people in there with, you know, good knowledge, and we know we got good resources right in our own backyard. So visibility, and just, you know, reach out to us. You know, it's great to put it on social media, things like that. But when people see it under the Bartlett Express header, they know it's more factual per se. So yeah, you know, visibility is the key, and have a good product.
Good. And then Dr. Craig, for you?
Yeah, I think, you know, the ticket to success in any field is it's got to be more than just a job. There has to be a spark of passion. And, I tell, as Maria knows, I tell all of our new folks that come in, if you don't see the difference we're making in people's lives, you're just not looking. Every single day we're touching somebody, we're helping somebody either create new financial dreams or fulfill financial dreams. And whether it's, saving for college education, buying a new car, saving for that first house, all of that is, fundamental to aspirations people have and dreams. And if we can help them get from where they are to where they want to be, that's what it's all about. And if you can find that passion, whether it's in banking or anything else, getting up and going to work really isn't work.
Yeah.
It's a mission.
Yeah.
It's a mission.
Then it become a calling.
And it's a calling. Yeah. That's right. And I think that's the satisfaction in our work in particular. And but it's everywhere. It's in every job. You just have to see it. You have to look to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on time. Amazingly, it happens. It surprises me every time. The conversation is so good that it shocks me that we're come to the end of it. So Dr. C, one question that I have for you, you've got a long history with First South, and First South has changed significantly along the way. And I will ask you, what's next for the organization, and what is gonna help you and all of us be poised to win this award again next year and the following?
Banking has gotten more complicated. I don't think anybody would find that surprising, but banking customers, our members, are looking for more than just the traditional banking products. They still want those. They still want to be able to go into the branch occasionally, but they want cutting edge digital products like, our Lumen platform.
Yes.
They want to bank from home. They want to bank anywhere. And the thing is, a lot of banking institutions are getting rid of the branch structures, but people still want to go in occasionally. They just don't go in as often as they used to. But they'll come in for things like sitting down with someone for a mortgage or wealth management. But then they want to be able to remote deposit, transfer money, do all of those things on their phones. So we really have to do both. And something that's really transforming banking right now is the fintechs. There's all sorts of new platforms and options to reach people. And, we're looking at fintechs every day, new fintechs. While we expand our markets, we're expanding into Middle and Eastern Tennessee. And now we've got actually a nationwide branch network. So our people, they can be in Louisiana or Wisconsin, for heaven's sakes, and go to a branch.
And don't have that dreaded ATM fee.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody hates the ATM fee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the ATM is essentially the go-to branch, right? Because that's what people interact with.
People still use a lot of cash. We talk about a cashless society. We're not close.
Yeah, we're not. Pierce, any last questions from you?
I just want to say thank you both for being here and just giving us some insight on what's going on both with the Bartlett Express and with First South. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you guys today. And as a resident of Bartlett my whole life, it's been fun to watch both the Bartlett Express expand and to also learn more about what First South is doing for the community. So really appreciate it. And from the Chamber perspective, you guys are cornerstones to what the Chamber does. And so we appreciate you and look forward to furthering our relationship.
And all the hard work y'all do down there at the Chamber gives us to report and to put out there. And October the 3rd is the Reader Choice edition of the Bartlett Express. As some people say, the best of Bartlett, because the bees, they like the lyrics. So make sure on that Thursday, we get out there and we pick up the Bartlett Express so we can see who else won with First South and celebrate the best of Bartlett.
So this episode will come out the day after
It'll still be on
reader
newsstands.
source. Yeah, it'll still be on newsstands. But if you want to give anybody a teaser about some of the other winners, or you can insist that they check
I
out.
want them to pick up the paper and get to that special
Yes.
section.
Yes.
They might see a handsome gentleman on the front. so and a young lady that is our woman of the year. So we'll have people go pick it up so they can read all about it.
That's awesome. Dr. Craig, thank you for taking time out of your day to
Thank you.
join us on
Such
this
a pleasure to be
podcast.
here.
It's truly always a pleasure to sit down and have a conversation with you. You're fun. Thank you, everyone, for watching The Heartbeat of Bartlett. I hope you had as much fun today as I did having a conversation with this great group of people. Remember, The Heartbeat of Bartlett every other Friday. And you can find us on Spotify, you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on any source that you consume podcasts. We're there, so make sure you like and subscribe and ring that bell, ring-a-ding-ding. And thank you, as always, to the wonderful team at V2 Media!
Yay!
V2 Media! For making this incredible podcast possible. And thank you to you, Pierce, for being my co-host today. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce for giving us the platform for this podcast. And First South Financial is very proud to be a sponsor of this podcast. And as I frequently say, First South Financial loves the city of Bartlett, loves the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce, and we love the Bartlett Express. So it's our pleasure to be here and be your hosts. And we're out! Bye!